I'm Suzanne Woods Fisher, and I want to introduce you to one of my favorite places, my garden. It's huge and I love it, and I spend a lot of time here. I live in the Northern California area, so that I'm really able to garden about three quarters of the year. Right now, I've got the grapes coming in, I've got onions, tomatoes just went in, carrots, peas, beans, strawberries, raspberries, zucchini, corn, sunflowers, you name it. I just love it. It's really so much a part of who I am. So I wanted to share that with you, and I also wanted to share a new release I have coming out. And I wish I had the cover to show you, but I don't even have the books yet. It's that hot off the press. But that's what it looks like. It's called On a Coastal Breeze. It is book 2 in the Three Sisters Island series. This is book 1. This is On a Summer's Tide. It's a story about a family off the coast of Maine. There's a dad who realizes his 3 daughters are growing estranged. They're all young adults, and they're all sort of very different girls heading out into the world in their own way, and they're growing increasingly estranged. So he knows he has to do something dramatic to bring everybody together. And what he does is he buys a bankrupt island off the coast of Maine. His daughters think he's just crazy, but he's got a plan, so don't count this dad out. So I want to read just the opening, a little bit of an excerpt from chapter 1 of On a Coastal Breeze, and I hope you'll enjoy this. Chapter 1. Just before Maddie's the middle sister, unlocked the door to her office, she straightened the name plaque on the wall. Madison Grayson, marriage and family therapist. Her career was finally underway. Today was the starting day of her first real job, and she actually had clients. An engaged couple who had made an appointment on the very day Captain Ed helped her hang her shingle. She opened the door and walked inside, smiling. The space she had rented was the basement of an old house on First Street, just around the corner from the lunch counter, the hub of Three Sisters Islands. Three Sisters Island is the name of the island that the father bought. Peg Leg owned and ran the diner and advised Maddie not to rent space right on Main Street. You won't get any customers if they think folks see them coming and going from the shrink's office. Maddie bristled at being called a shrink, and her clients were not customers, but she was grateful for Peg's local savvy. The ways of locals were still new to her despite living on the island this past year. She doubted she'd ever truly understand them, but she hoped she could shed light on the problems in their lives. Now, problems, she understood. She flipped on the light and smiled. On her desk was a bouquet of a dozen red roses, her favorite, and a little card. Good luck today. Love, Cam and Cooper, Blaine and Dad. That's her family. This was Dad's doing. He was over the moon pleased that Maddie had completed the hours required to be fully licensed. He really needn't have worried about her. Maddie finished what she started, even if it took a little longer than expected. Blaine was the daughter he should save his worry for. Maddie opened a casement window to let in fresh air, for the May morning was unseasonably warm. Her gaze swept the room, looking for any pillow that needed puffing or wall frames of her diplomas that were slightly askew, but she couldn't see anything to improve. In fact, it couldn't be more perfect. It wasn't large, but she didn't need much space, just privacy. Cam had helped her decorate the basement and turn it into a professional office. For once, her older sister hadn't overridden Maddie's preferences. Instead of the couch and the desk that Cam had picked out, as well as an accent of boldly patterned wallpaper, she deferred to Maddie's choices. Comfortable, upholstered, swiveling armchairs instead of a couch, a palette of subdued colors for paint and fabric, cool ones with warm pops. Then invited one to relax, to linger. Not too feminine, not too masculine. Against the back wall was a tiny service kitchen with an expensive coffee machine that made single coffees, customized coffees. Maddie wanted everything here to tell a client she respected their individuality. She heard the stomping sounds of someone up above, someone on the portly side, and she assumed they belonged to Tilly, the church secretary, who took her volunteer job very seriously. The spacious house had been rented to the tiny little church on Three Sisters Island, a small fellowship that had finally found a pastor who was willing to move to an island on the edge of the world for a pittance of a salary. The house would serve as his living quarters, plus his office, and it was near the building they could use on Sunday mornings, a huge upgrade for meeting in the Baggett and Taggett shop down the street. It was hard to sing worship songs about creation when a moose head on the wall was staring down at you accusingly. Maddie tried to remember what Seth had said when he recruited the new pastor. Richard something or other. She squeezed her eyes shut. He was freshly out of the military, she remembered that. He loved Jesus and extreme sports in that order. Oh, and he had tattoos. That's all she could remember. She'd been so distracted with starting her practice that she really hadn't paid any attention, but she had a lot of faith in Seth Walker's judgment. He'd started the church a few years ago when he became the island school teacher. He knew what kind of pastor they would need for this, best fit this role. Maddie took out a blank notepad and a periwinkle blue flare pen and applied fresh lipstick and straightened her skirt and said a little prayer and waited for her clients to arrive. And waited. Outside the casement open window, she heard commotion of excited shouts and footsteps pound down the street. Curious, she left her office and went to the street to see what was causing the fuss. She stood at the top of Main Street and shielded her eyes from the bright morning sun, and behind her came the stomp, stomp, stomp of Millie's LL Bean boots, which stopped abruptly as she stood right beside Maddie. "Oh my word," Tilly said. "He said he was going to parachute in today, but I didn't think he meant literally." And there, floating down from the sky, right in front of Boondock, was a brightly colored parachute with a man dangling underneath. "Tilly," Maddie said, "is that our new pastor?" "Indeed it is." "What's his name again?" Maddie said. "Richard O'Shea." "What? Wait a minute, did you say O'Shea?" Oh no, Maddie jerked her head down. No, it couldn't be. It couldn't be. Her mind raced back to the meeting when they'd voted for him. She came in late from a class and all she heard is that the church had unanimously voted in a pastor named Richard. "Tilly, does he happen to go by the name of Ricky?" "No." Maddie blew out a puff of air. Phew. It couldn't be the same guy. No way. It couldn't possibly be the same Ricky with whom she grew up. Not a chance. "Rick, he calls himself," Tilly said. A queasy roll started up in Maddie's stomach. Oh no, 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 no. How could this world be so big and yet so small? Tilly patted her on her shoulder. "I better get down to the dock to meet our new pastor, and you better get your customers. They got confused and they came upstairs. I sent them down to wait in the basement." Maddie gasped. No, this wasn't the way a morning was supposed to go. She should be in her office waiting to welcome her clients. Ricky O'Shea should remain far, far away, a distant, unpleasant, suppressed if not forgotten memory, like a root canal. Thanks for listening. Hope you get it.